There are great singers, and there are voices that outlive generations. This man has been one of the most recognizable voices in R&B and funk music over the past 6 decades, and a true bridge between generations of music lovers. From the dawn of rock and roll, through the golden age of soul, into the era of funk, hip hop, and modern R&B, one voice never disappeared. This man's voice was silky, ageless, and timeless. He didn't just survive in music changing eras, he dominated them. But behind the silky voice and the Mr. Biggs persona is a story of struggle, reinvention, scandal, resilience, and one of the most extraordinary careers in music history. This is a story of the last man standing in R&B golden era, and the voice that refuses to fade. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Ronald Isley. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more uploads. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. Ronald Isley was born on May 21st, 1941 in Cincinnati, Ohio. Music wasn't optional in the Isley household. Their parents raised all 6 boys singing in church. By the age of 7, Ronald was already performing publicly. It was clear from the beginning that this kid wasn't ordinary. He had a voice that carried emotion, control, and maturity beyond his years. By his teen years, Ronald and his brothers, O'Kelly, Rudy, and Vernon was performing professionally as a gospel quartet. But tragedy struck early. In 1955, Vernon, the younger brother, was tragically unalive at the age of 13 while riding his bike. They was ready to give it all up after this incident. But in 1957, at the urging of their parents, the remaining 3 brothers moved to New York to make it as a rock and roll band. While in New York City, they had no money, they had no record deal, and they had no safety net. They sang on street corners, performing in small clubs for food and money. And then, in 1959, everything changed. They recorded the song Shout. This song was a huge hit, and it had several lives owing to his appearance on the Animal House soundtrack. The song burst, and the Isley Brothers became an overnight sensation. Since their debut song and album in 1959, the Isley Brothers had continuously reinvented their music and name, dominating the black music charts like no other band have done before or since. The Isley Brothers had Jimi Hendrix, who toured as a backup guitarist in the early 60s. They also had Elton John, whose band supported them in the United Kingdom as backing musicians. The business side was brutal. The brothers, they had bad contracts, unpaid royalties, and labor problems. Success didn't equal security, and Ronald learned very early that the music industry wasn't built to protect its artists. In the early 60s, the Isley Brothers, they signed with MOTOWN. What should have been a breakthrough, instead, that was ignored, buried behind acts like The Supremes, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, and other countless acts. Their singles flopped and their momentum died, but by 1964, the group was finished, or it seemed. Ronald, he refused to quit. The brothers left MOTOWN and they started their own label, T-Neck Records, and they rebuilt from scratch. In 1969, they released a song, It's Your Thing, and it became a #1 hit on the R&B charts. And this song proved one thing: the Isley Brothers, they was back. The 70s transformed Ronald Isley into a superstar. The group expanded into a full band. Ernie, he was on guitar. Marvin was on bass, and Chris Jasper, he was on the keyboards. The younger brothers have been providing instrumental help for the brothers ever since the late 60s. Their sound exploded into funk, rock, and soul. They released classics such as Fight the Power,
Faces full of pain. I try to
That Lady, For the Love of You,
within. Can't feel insecure again.
and Between the Sheets.
Laying next to me, sharing our love.
Ronald's voice was smooth, seductive, and timeless. He didn't just sing the songs, he sold fantasies. By the late 70s, the Isley Brothers wasn't just a group, that was an empire. And for much of the Isley Brothers' duration, Ron remained the group's most consistent member, as well as the lead vocalist for most of the group's tenure. Now, for more information about the Isley Brothers, I highly suggest you checking out my tribute video to them. And while you at it, you might as well check out my whole catalog of the Isley Brothers Collective. The 1980s brought another reinvention. After the group temporarily split, Ron went solo, and he came back stronger than ever. He didn't chase trends, he absorbed them. His voice fit perfectly into the slick, modern R&B sound. He wasn't aging out, he was evolving, and younger audiences was discovering him for the first time. After Kelly's passing in 1986, Rudy ended up leaving the group to pursue a career as a pastor in 1989. Ronald continued performing under the Isley Brothers name, either as a solo artist or with the group's younger brothers, most notably Ernie Isley. Ron's solo career demonstrated that he was more than simply the voice of the Isley Brothers. He was a star capable of standing on his own in numerous of eras. In 2003, he released an album with Burt Bacharach called Here I Am. This album peaked at number 73 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 22 on the Billboard R&B albums charts. In 2010, he released his first solo album titled Mr. I, which peaked at number 50 on the 200 charts and number 11 on the R&B charts. In 2013, he released his second album titled This Song Is For You, that peaked at number 27 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 9 on the Billboard R&B albums charts. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Ronald reinvented himself once again, this time as Mr. Biggs, the mysterious gangster soul character who was introduced through collaborations with R. Kelly on songs such as Down Low, Contagious, and Friend of Mine, turning Ronald into a hip-hop era icon. Once again, he was on top. Isley was married 3 times, once in 1960, another in 1993, famously to singer Angela Winbush, and in 2005 when he married singer Candy Johnson of the duo JS. The mid-2000s was the darker years for Ron, as in 2004 he suffered from a stroke in London, and in 2006 he was convicted of tax evasion charges. He had owed the IRS over $3.1 million in back taxes and was sentenced to 3 years and 1 month in prison. The mighty voice of R&B was behind bars. His reputation suffered a setback. His finances was ruined, and his career appeared to be over. At the age of 65, most artists would have disappeared, but Ron wasn't finished. After serving his sentence, Ron returned to music, and unbelievably, he picked up where he left off. He collaborated with artists such as Beyonce, Snoop Dogg, and Kendrick Lamar, to mention a few. He performed no verses. He released new albums and still touring today with Ernie. Now in his 80s, he still sounds like himself. No rasp, no vocal collapse, no decline, just Ronald Isley. His presence is staying far beyond music. It extended into television, where his smooth charisma and instantly recognizable voice made him a natural on screen. Not only did he appear as an iconic Mr. Biggs character, but he also made guest appearances on TV shows such as The Jamie Foxx Show and The Steve Harvey Show, where he leaned into his legendary status with humor and self-awareness. He performed on countless award shows, talk shows, and late-night shows over the decades. Today, Ronald and Ernie are the only Isleys that's left. Ronald is a living bridge between gospel, rock, soul, funk, R&B, and hip-hop. No other singer in history has dominated that many eras. Ronald Isley didn't just survive the music industry, he conquered it. He outlived trends, outlived labels, outlived rivals, and he outlived the eras. He failed, he rose, and he reinvented himself again and again. And through it all, his voice never left him. Ronald Isley isn't just an R&B legend. He's a living miracle, a timeless voice, a survivor, and a king who never lost his crown. The Isley Brothers was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992. They received a Lifetime Achievement Grammy in 2014. They also sold millions of records all over the world, with 16 of their albums hitting the top 40, and all of them being powerhouses on the R&B charts. By fusing soul and R&B with funk, they have overcome cultural barriers. Their music has spanned generations, and is widely sampled in hip-hop and mainstream pop. They are, in many ways, the most significant and influential band in music history. What are some of your favorite crossover hits that Ronald Isley feature on? Also, would you like to see a tribute video on Isley Jasper Isley? Before I go, I want to take a second to promote my Discord. Over here, I provide a safe space for my supporters. We discuss music of all genres. You can provide me feedback on recent uploads, etc. If that interests you, then go ahead and check me out. The link is in my bio. While I have y'all here, if you would like to support the channel further, then feel free to become a member. By doing so, you help make these videos possible. I thank each and every one of you who supported me along this journey.